the Kenya shilling continues to depreciate against the US dollar. Now, the currency has lost 16% against the dollar this year alone, and this has had an impact on importers. I caught up with two businessmen who shared their experience. Meet Gilbert, a car dealer based in Nairobi, who imports second-hand cars into the Kenyan market, and Dennis, a young businessman who sells electronics and mobile phones. Their common denominator is the current freefall of the Kenya shilling.
To be honest, it's really affected the business because you look at the prices we used to bring before when the dollar was down, because importing always depends on the exchange rate. So if the exchange rate is low, that means your prices, your product is going to come at a cheaper price. You're going to sell them at a reasonable price. So customers tend to shy away because of the dollar rising. Our prices have to go up to compensate for that. That obviously affects the business because the number of customers coming in 3 months ago is not the number of customers we're going to be selling. As a matter of fact, this past month, business has been very, very low.
If you're looking at the dollar initially exchanging at 90 and 92 just about 6 to 7 months ago, and now at 106, it means that for every dollar you spend, you're adding an extra 16 shillings, which is like just another currency you're buying. Basically, it means that that vehicle has gone up by almost a percentage of 20, some cases 20, some cases 10%, some cases as high as, if you're buying a high-end car, as high as almost 30% up. And that has really impacted on, especially on emerging young population in the country, because initially they buy cars like Vitz, Mazda Demio, Toyota Probox for business people, and even Nissan Matatus for business.
The shilling has hit an all-time 4-year low of 106 against the US dollar, and so far the currency has lost 16% to the dollar this year alone. So, what is the genesis?
One of the key drivers of the current depreciation has actually been the rally by the dollar, because many investors have been anticipating the rate hike by the Fed from as early as June this year. And it was again said it would be in September. It's still debatable whether it will happen or not. So depending on the decision they take, we could see either continuation of the dollar flight from Kenya and other frontier economies towards the United States. So we'll really wait for the September 17th to see what Janet Yellen and her team put out to see how this goes.
The Central Bank of Kenya has come under scrutiny, and the bank's governor has, in the very recent past, undertaken measures to try and curb the depreciating currency. But is this enough?
The government should do more in, stabilizing the rate, because it can't keep fluctuation like that, because it's bad for business, and obviously business affects the economy. The price can't be 10 times more in a few weeks' time. Do you know what I mean? It totally disorients customers, totally disorients the purchasing power.
And with no end in sight to the current volatility, adapting a wait-and-see attitude seems like the best option.
We just like any other finance person, waiting and watching to see what the market will be like. Because with the weakening of the yuan and the gaining of the US dollar or the US economy strengthening, this situation, we do not know how long it will last, unless the US government raises interest in their, like Kenya has done, interest on their loans and other investments in their country. The dollar will continue to strengthen as is predicted, and so we expect also the same for the Kenya shilling to continue being affected. Now, the only cushion we can give to our people, not based on the monetary, but based on the banks locally. If the banks can probably extend the loans term.
Still, business has to make sense at the end of the day.
You know what happens if the dollar rises, that means prices are up. So that means we have to compensate through the customers. So the only thing we can do, unfortunately, is hike our prices just a little bit more. But to be able to keep our customers, we tend to, provided we import with a certain price, we have to, sometimes the hike is only a little bit the profit margin is, we just have to reduce the profit margin. That's the only way we can cushion ourselves. Otherwise, if we say we're selling at the same price, then we're not doing any business. you know, it's not a win-win situation.
While Kenya remains a country heavily reliant on imports, further weakening of the shilling is detrimental to the country's current account deficit. For now, all that traders can do is hope that the shilling remains stable.
I think the current central bank governor, just like the one before him, predecessor, is trying his best. And the wait and see the central bank is doing, because if they intervene, then the volatility continues to increase, the speculators continue to speculate. I think we've seen a steady hold for the last few days. I hope it will stay, because it will help us a lot. And we hope that to some extent, because we do a lot of imports on oil and other stuff, consumptions here, that our economy is going to be sustainable in terms of inflation, that oil prices will continue to go down. If they go down, at least they benefit us from high increased cost of transport and cost of purchases abroad using the dollar.